Hey Night Owls, tonight we're diving into something that's equal parts thrilling, disgusting and downright horrifying. Why you wouldn't survive 24 hours on a pirate ship. I know, pirates are cool, right? Big hats, gold teeth, buried treasure, parrots squawking nonsense and a whole lot of rum. What's not to love? But here's the thing, you've been lied to. Hollywood gave you Jack Sparrow. History gives you scurvy, betrayal, rotten meat and the very real possibility of being tossed overboard before breakfast. Before we get into it, if you're into weird history and brutal reality checks from the past, make sure to hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss more deep dives into the stuff school definitely didn't teach you. And hey, drop a comment below and let us know where you're watching from. We love hearing from all you late night legends. So let's see what actually happens when you, yes you, wake up on a pirate ship. Spoiler, it's not going to end well. Imagine the smell of the sea mixed with unwashed bodies, the constant threat of mutiny and the ever-present danger of disease. It's a nightmare you wouldn't want to live through. Chapter 1. The Wake-Up Call, Below Deck. You open your eyes to darkness, not the gentle kind of darkness, like your bedroom at night or the back of a movie theatre. This is pitch black, hot, damp, heavy, and you're moving. Your entire body sways back and forth like you're lying inside a swinging coffin. Your head is pounding, your mouth is dry, something just scurried over your leg. Welcome aboard. You're in the lower deck of a pirate ship crammed into a narrow, rotting hammock strung between two wooden beams. The air smells like old fish, sweat, piss and mouldy wood. And that's on a good day. You hear groaning nearby, someone coughing hard enough to rattle their ribs. Water drips from the ceiling. You can't tell if it's from a leaking barrel or the ocean slowly finding its way in. You sit up too fast and immediately regret it. The ceiling is so low you smack your head on a beam. Your hammock rocks violently, nearly tipping you out. Someone curses at you in a language you don't understand. Another voice tells you to shut up, or the bosun will come down swinging. You're the new guy or girl, doesn't matter. The crew calls you Green. They don't care about your name. You're the latest sorry soul to end up on this godforsaken boat, and your first day, it's already started. You fumble for your boots, still wet from yesterday, and shove them on over your dirty socks. Your shirt smells like bilge water and dried blood. Your pants are stiff with salt. You haven't bathed in days, but no one here has. You can't even remember what clean feels like. Your job now is simple. Survive. You grab the ladder and start climbing up to the main deck, your body aching with every step. The ladder is slick, probably from seawater, grease or fish guts. You don't ask questions, you just hold your breath and keep climbing, and then bam! You're hit with it. The light, it's blinding. After hours in the dark belly of the ship, the sun punches you right in the face like it's mad you ever dared to sleep. You squint hard trying to adjust, and just as your eyes start to focus, a massive gust of wind nearly knocks you sideways. The sail overhead snaps like a thunderclap. Seagulls scream above you. Waves crash against the hull. This isn't a peaceful cruise. This is chaos. The deck is alive with motion. Pirates stomping across the planks, yelling orders, dragging ropes, patching holes, sharpening knives. Everyone looks like they've been awake for hours. And you're already behind. You hear it before you see him. "Oi, you call that waking up on time?" The voice belongs to the bosun. Think of him as the ship's drill sergeant, if that drill sergeant was missing an eye, had a whip in one hand and a drinking problem in the other. He stomps toward you with a sneer, points at your face, and shoves a filthy mop into your hands. "Deck's not going to clean itself, Greenie." And just like that, your first task has begun. You get to work, pushing the mop across the splintered wood, trying to scrub off the sticky mix of dried blood, fish scales, and gods know what else. Your arms start burning within minutes. Your back already hurts. The sun is climbing fast, and the heat bakes the stink of the ship into your skin. You gag quietly. You're too new to throw up in front of everyone. That's how you get nicknames like Pukes. Someone passes by and smacks the back of your head. You drop the mop. Big mistake, the bosun sees. He starts toward you again, but one of the older crew members stops him, laughing. He's Green. Let him suffer. You retrieve the mop and keep going. No break, no breakfast. Just more filth, more salt, more yelling. Finally, you're told to go below deck again, but not to rest. You're headed to the galley. The galley is a generous word for what is essentially a tiny, windowless room where the cook prepares meals. He's called Grease. No one knows his real name. He's got 3 teeth and smells like raw onions. His apron hasn't been washed in what looks like ever. He tosses you a hard chunk of something that looks like bread. It's called hardtack. It's basically a brick made of flour, water, and sadness. You bang it against the table and a piece chips off. It's covered in little black dots. Is that mold? You ask. Grease shrugs, or weevils, adds crunch. You don't have time to be disgusted. If you don't eat it, you'll be too weak to haul ropes or climb the rigging later. So you chew slowly, trying not to break a tooth. It tastes like cardboard left out in the rain and dried in the sun. Grease slides over a mug of something dark. It smells like rum, salt water, and vinegar. What is this, you ask? Breakfast. You drink it anyway. Back on deck, the wind has picked up. The ship lurches as a wave hits. You stumble, almost falling, but someone grabs your collar and yanks you upright. Eyes open, Greenie, or the sea'll eat you. You nod, heart pounding, and grab onto the nearest rope. It's frayed and sticky, but it keeps you upright. Around you, pirates are working in near-perfect chaos. Some fixing sails, others manning the wheel, shouting curses, laughing like madmen. There's no schedule here, no order, just survival. You're told to help repair a sail that's come loose. This means climbing. High. They point to the rigging, the network of ropes and ladders leading up the main mast. Up you go. You hesitate. It's swaying in the wind, it's really high, and you've never climbed anything taller than your bunk bed. But saying no isn't an option. You start to climb, hands shaking, foot by foot. The mast groans under the wind, the ship rocks, and every shift sends a jolt through your body. You look down and immediately regret it. Below you, the deck looks like a dollhouse. The sea stretches out endlessly in every direction, blue, churning, and utterly unforgiving. You grip the ropes tighter. At the top, you cling to the mast and reach out to grab the torn canvas. Your fingers are numb, the salt burns your eyes, but somehow you hold it in place while another pirate, more experienced, more terrifying, ties it off. Not bad, Greenie, he mutters. Don't die just yet. Climbing down is worse. Your legs are jelly, your arms are sore. When you finally hit the deck, you collapse onto a coil of rope, panting. No one tells you good job. No one even looks at you, because everyone's exhausted, everyone's hurting, and no one here gets to rest. The sun is high now. You haven't had water since the mystery mug at breakfast. Your lips are cracked, your skin's starting to burn. You find a shady spot under the stairs and sit for just a second. A boot hits your ribs. No napping, someone growls. This ain't a holiday. You get up because rest gets you punished. You're barely 6 hours in and your body's already giving up. Your clothes are soaked with sweat and seawater. Your hands are raw. You're sunburned, bruised, and still hungry. And this is just the beginning. The crew hasn't even started their real work yet. You've seen no treasure, no rum-soaked parties, no gold or glory, just pain, just rot, just endless sea and endless shouting. You start to realize something. This isn't adventure, this is survival. And most people don't last long. The day drags on, each task more grueling than the last. You haul ropes, scrub decks, and climb the rigging again and again. Your muscles scream in protest, but you push through the pain. The sun beats down mercilessly, and you feel your skin blistering under its relentless rays. By midday, you're delirious with exhaustion. The world around you blurs, and you struggle to keep your balance on the swaying deck. The boatswain's voice is a constant bark in your ear, driving you to work harder, faster. You're given a brief respite to gulp down some water, but it's warm and brackish, doing little to quench your thirst. You long for a moment of peace, a chance to rest your aching body. But there's no such luxury here. As the sun begins to set, the crew's pace doesn't slow. The work continues, and you're pulled into the frenzy of activity. You help secure the sails, patch up leaks, and prepare the ship for the night ahead. The sky darkens and the temperature drops, but the work doesn't stop. You're handed a bowl of thin, watery stew for dinner. It's barely enough to fill your stomach, but you eat it gratefully, knowing it's the only sustenance you'll get. The night shift is even more brutal. The darkness makes everything more dangerous, and you have to rely on your other senses to navigate the ship. The wind howls and the waves crash against the hull, making every step a challenge. You're assigned to watch duty, keeping an eye out for any signs of trouble. Your eyes strain to see through the inky blackness, and your mind races with thoughts of what could be lurking in the shadows. Hours pass, and your body feels like it's on the verge of collapse. You fight to stay awake, knowing that falling asleep on watch is a punishable offense. The minutes stretch into eternity, and you wonder how much longer you can endure. Finally, the first light of dawn breaks over the horizon. The night has been long and unforgiving, but you've made it through. The crew begins to stir and the cycle starts anew. You realize that this is your life now, a never-ending struggle for survival with no end in sight. The romanticized notion of pirate life is shattered, replaced by the harsh reality of endless toil and hardship. But you're still here, still standing, and as long as you can keep going, you'll find a way to survive, because that's what it means to be a pirate. Chapter 2, Breakfast of the Damned. It's been hours since you first opened your eyes in that stinking hammock below deck, and already your body feels like it's gone 12 rounds with the ocean itself. Your arms ache from scrubbing the deck. Your legs are shaking from the climb up the rigging, and your stomach empty. Loudly, painfully empty. You were told breakfast happened earlier, but no one explained the rules. Turns out there's no bell that rings. No line to queue in. No cheerful ship's cook with a tray of eggs and toast. On a pirate ship, breakfast isn't served, it's scavenged. You eat when and if the food appears, and if you're too slow or too low in rank, you don't eat at all. But now, the cook Grease barks out a word that makes the crew move fast. Grub! Within seconds, you're swept up in a chaotic stampede toward the galley. It's not a room so much as a sweaty, smoky corner of the ship near the hold, tucked between barrels of rum and crates of whatever the crew's stolen recently. There's a pot boiling over a fire that's barely controlled, sloshing something grey and lumpy that smells like boiled socks. You make it to the back of the line, if you can call this a line. It's more of a pushing mob. No one cares if you get food. In fact, a few of them hope you don't. Less for you means more for them. When it's finally your turn, Grease gives you the side eye. Still alive, huh? You nod. A mistake. He tosses a chunk of something heavy into your tin bowl. It lands with a wet thud. Then he ladles out a scoop of the boiling mess. It sloshes over the edge, burns your hand and instantly soaks into your sleeve. You look down at your meal. Let's break it down. First, there's hardtack. It's back. Same brick of flour and water from yesterday, only this one looks worse. It's green around the edges. You tap it against the side of your bowl. It doesn't break. Then there's the stew. It's technically liquid, but it has the consistency of wall paste. Floating in it are unidentifiable chunks of meat, stringy, grey, and full of gristle. You try to guess what animal it came from, then immediately stop yourself. This is breakfast, and it smells awful. You find a spot on the deck near a barrel and squat down. There's no dining hall, no chairs. Just you, your bowl, and a handful of other pirates grunting around you. The first bite is rough, the second is worse. The stew is thick with fat and oddly metallic. The hardtack cracks a molar. One of the crew, an older guy with a black-toothed grin, leans over and says, "Soak it in the stew, Greenie. Makes it soft enough to chew." You try it. He's not wrong. It's still disgusting, but now it's disgusting and edible. Progress. As you eat, you realize something. No one talks about food. There's no conversation, no bonding over breakfast. Everyone eats in silence, chewing mechanically, eyes darting around to make sure no one's trying to steal their share. One guy finishes early, then starts circling, looking for leftovers. Someone else pulls a knife and tells him to back off. This is not a community. This is barely a crew. It's a group of survivors. Halfway through your meal, you notice something squirming in the hardtack. You squint. Yep. It's a weevil, a tiny worm-like bug crawling out of a crack. You freeze. Blacktooth chuckles. So that means it's fresh. If the bugs are dead, it's really bad. You stare at the bug. It stares back. Then you close your eyes and bite in anyway. Because you're starving. Welcome to pirate cuisine, but the real horror isn't the taste or the bugs. It's the after. Your stomach, already tender from stress, reacts poorly. You feel it churn as the stew settles. You try to breathe through the nausea, but the ship rocks violently just then, and you feel the bile rising. You lurch toward the side of the ship and vomit over the railing. A wave of heat washes over you. Your ears ring. Your arms are trembling. Behind you, someone laughs. First meal always comes back up. You wipe your mouth on your sleeve. It doesn't help. Your lips are dry, cracked. Your head is spinning. You try to take a sip from your canteen, only to find it empty. You ask someone nearby where you can refill it. They raise an eyebrow. "Rain barrels over there, or grab some grog from the cask if you want to die slower." You stagger over to the rain barrel, which is literally just a wooden tub left out to collect stormwater. It's covered in scum, and something is floating in it. You fish out the chunk. It's a bit of cloth or a rag, and drink anyway. The water is warm and tastes like wet wood, but it stays down. Barely. You make it back to your post, your stomach still rumbling. The captain hasn't shown himself yet, but the boatswain's voice cuts across the deck like thunder. "Haul the lines! Get the mainsail up! Greenie, you're on rope duty." You're pulled into a group of 4 others, older, stronger, meaner. They don't bother introducing themselves. One of them shoves a length of rope into your hands and barks. Pull, you do. You dig your heels into the planks and pull as hard as you can. Your palms burn, your shoulders scream, the sail begins to rise slowly. But your grip slips, and the rope burns a bright red line across your hand. Don't let go, you idiot! You grit your teeth and hold on. Blood seeps from your palm. No one cares. By the time the sail is up, you're drenched in sweat again. Your hands are shaking. You lean against a barrel and take deep breaths. A shadow falls over you. It's not the boatswain, it's worse. It's the quartermaster, second in command, the one who really runs the ship. He has a long coat, a long beard, and eyes like frozen lead. He doesn't speak right away, just looks you up and down like he's measuring whether it's worth keeping you alive. Eat already? You nod. He grunts. Good, you'll need it. Then he points toward the side of the ship. Rope snapped. You're on repair duty. You follow his finger and spot a tangled mess near the bow. The line has snapped clean off, whipping across the deck earlier and leaving a nasty dent in the railing. Had someone been standing there, they'd be dead. You head over, kneel down, and start untangling the rope. Your fingers are stiff. Your palms are raw. You work in silence while others rush past you. Suddenly you hear a loud crack, like thunder but sharper, then screaming. You look up just in time to see a young pirate being dragged across the deck by 2 others. Blood is pouring from his shoulder. He's moaning. The crew parts to let them through, no one offering help. Caught stealing, someone mutters nearby. A few seconds later you hear another voice call out, "Bring the cat!" You freeze. The cat o' nine tails is not a cute animal, it's a whip. 9 cords of rope, each with knots or bits of metal tied in, designed to tear skin from bone. Punishment on pirate ships is public, painful, and permanent. The crew gathers. You're too afraid not to watch. The thief is tied to the mast. His shirt is ripped off. His back is already covered in scars. This isn't his first time. The boatswain raises the whip. Crack, crack, crack. You lose count after 6. Blood splashes the deck. The thief doesn't scream anymore. He just trembles. When it's over, they cut him loose and dump him near the barrels. He won't be walking for days. And just like that, breakfast is over. Not just the food, the entire illusion that this ship is anything close to civilized. There's no mercy here, no second chances. You mess up, you bleed, and no one stops to help, because if they do, they might be next. You go back to coiling rope, your appetite completely gone. By the time midday comes, the sun is high, the deck is boiling, and you're starting to understand something very important. You don't live on this ship, you endure it, and you've got 18 hours to go. The sun beats down relentlessly, and you feel every second of it. Sweat drips into your eyes, stinging and blurring your vision. You squint against the glare, trying to focus on the task at hand. The crew moves like clockwork, each pirate knowing their role, their place. You're the only one still fumbling, still trying to find your footing. It's a harsh learning curve, and there's no room for mistakes. The quartermaster's eyes are always on you, cold and calculating. You can feel his gaze even when you're not looking. It's a constant reminder that you're being judged, weighed, and measured. The hours drag on, each one feeling longer than the last. Your muscles ache, your hands are raw, and your stomach is a constant knot of hunger and nausea. But you push through because there's no other choice. As the sun begins to set, casting long shadows across the deck, you finally get a moment to breathe. You lean against the railing, staring out at the endless expanse of ocean. It's beautiful in a way, but it's also a prison. There's no escape, no way out. The night brings a brief respite from the heat, but it also brings new challenges. The ship never sleeps, and neither do you. There's always something to be done, always another task to complete. You're exhausted, but you can't afford to rest. Not yet, not until you've proven yourself. Not until you've earned your place among the crew, and so you keep going. One step at a time, one task at a time, because on this ship, survival is the only goal, and you're determined to make it through. The stars come out twinkling in the night sky. You take a deep breath, feeling the cool night air fill your lungs. It's a small comfort, but it's enough to keep you going. You glance around at the other pirates, their faces hard and weathered. They've been through this before, they know what it takes, and now so do you. You're not just surviving, you're learning. You're adapting, and maybe, just maybe, you'll make it through the night, because on this ship every day is a battle, and you're ready to fight. The night is long, but you endure. You push through the fatigue, the pain, the hunger, because you have to. because there's no other choice. And as the first light of dawn breaks over the horizon, you realize something important. You're still here. You've made it through another day. And that's something worth fighting for. Welcome to life on a pirate ship. It's brutal, it's unforgiving, but it's also a test of your strength, your will, your determination, and you're determined to survive. Because on this ship, survival is the only goal, and you're ready to face whatever comes next. So take a deep breath, steel yourself, and get ready for another day, because the battle is far from over, and you're just getting started. Chapter 3, Swab or Suffer. You thought breakfast would be a turning point, a low, sure, but maybe things would start looking up after that. You ate, you didn't pass out, you managed not to die. That counts for something, right? Wrong, because now it's time for the real work. And on a pirate ship, real work means one thing, swab or suffer. You're told to grab a mop again, though calling it a mop is generous. It's a ragged bundle of ropes tied to a stick crusted with dried filth from 100 different sources. You don't want to guess what's on it, and you definitely don't want to know where it's been. The bosun finds you again. Of course he does. He points to the aft deck near the captain's quarters, where a particularly nasty mess is smeared across the planks. Clean that up, and don't half-ass it. If I see one drop of blood, puke or piss left, you're going overboard. Overboard. He says it casually, like it's a joke. It's not. You've already heard whispers about crewmates who were caught sleeping, stealing, or just annoying the wrong person at the wrong time. 1 minute they're here, the next, gone. The sea doesn't ask questions, so you swab. You press the mop into the wood, trying not to gag. The sun beats down on your back, the stink rises in waves, and the ship never stops moving. Every time the hull rocks, you stagger, nearly slipping on the slime. You learn quickly that swabbing isn't just gross, it's dangerous. The deck is uneven, nails stick up in odd places, ropes snake underfoot. And if you fall, no one's helping you up. You pass a few older crewmates along the way. One-eyed men with hands like rope and faces like boiled leather. They don't say anything, they just nod or grunt. You wonder if they were once like you, young, green, trying not to puke from the smell. You keep your head down and keep scrubbing, 1 square foot at a time. Time crawls. You feel your mind start to drift. The rhythm of the mop, the creak of the ship, the endless groan of the sea, it all blurs together. You lose track of how long you've been at it. Then suddenly, crack! A whip hits the deck just inches from your foot. You flinch. The bosun's shadow looms. Slow ain't clean, he growls. Pick it up. You nod and mop faster. Your hands blister. Your shirt sticks to your back. You wonder if this is how you die, dehydrated and sun-poisoned, face down in someone else's vomit. A few feet away, another crewman is repairing the railing, hammering thick iron nails into the wood. Each slam of the hammer feels like a warning shot. Work or be worked over. The ship suddenly shifts hard to the left. A swell hits the bow, and the whole deck lurches. You stumble. The mop goes flying. You land on your knees, and your hand sinks straight into a puddle of something wet and warm. You freeze. It's not water. Someone laughs behind you. Get used to it, Greenie. You don't ask what it was. You don't want to know. You just get up, wipe your hand on your pants, and keep going. Eventually, the bosun yells again. That's enough! For now! You don't argue. You drop the mop and stumble toward the side of the ship. Your legs are shaking. Your arms feel like they've been pulled from their sockets. Your throat is raw from breathing in the salty air and whatever fumes were coming off that mop. You find a small barrel of rainwater near the helm and take a few careful sips. It's warm, but you don't care. It's the first cleanish thing you've had all day. A moment later, the quartermaster walks by and tosses something at your feet. It's a bucket. Bilge duty, he says. You stare at him. What? The bilge. Under the cargo hold. Start scooping. You want to say no. Every part of you screams to say no, but you don't, because no one says no. So down you go, again, lower than the crew quarters, lower than the galley, all the way to the bottom of the ship. The bilge is where water collects. Not clean rainwater, dirty water, leaks, spills, blood, guts, rot, sewage. Every nasty thing that seeps through the cracks of the ship ends up down here. The stench hits you like a slap. It's humid, it's dark, there are flies, the water is ankle deep and thick with sludge. Something moves past your foot, you don't look. You take the bucket, squat down and start scooping, over and over. Fill, lift, dump, repeat. Your arms are jelly, your nose is running. You're sweating so hard it feels like your body's trying to escape through your skin. You start to see things, hear things. Did someone whisper your name? Is that a rat swimming by? Or just your imagination? You lose time again. And when you finally climb back up, bucket empty and face pale, it's almost evening. You collapse near a crate of rope and let your head fall back. The sky is turning orange. The crew is still moving, fixing sails, checking weapons, arguing about nothing. The ship never sleeps. The work never stops, and neither can you. You close your eyes for what feels like 2 seconds, just 2, and then someone kicks you. "Back on your feet, swabber," a voice snarls. "Captain wants this deck spotless before supper." You stand slowly, numbly. The mop is waiting. You pick it up and start again. It hits you then, between strokes of the mop, between waves of nausea and flashes of sunburn. This isn't a punishment, this is the job. You thought pirates just drank rum and swung swords and yelled about treasure, but most days, most hours, it's just work. Endless, back-breaking, filthy work. And for what? You don't get paid until there's a raid, you don't rest unless someone dies, and you don't eat well, even on a good day. You remember someone telling you, maybe back on land, that pirates were free, living outside the rules, chasing glory, but this doesn't feel free. This feels like prison without walls, like a job you can't quit because quitting means swimming home in shark-infested water, with a musket ball in your back. You finish your second round of swabbing just as the sun disappears. The sky turns purple and the stars begin to appear. The crew starts to quiet. Some gather near the bow to play dice, others head to their hammocks. A few pass around a bottle of rum and grunt something that might be laughter. You just sit silent, staring at your hands, blistered, raw, covered in grime. And you realize this was just one day, 24 hours, and you already feel broken. And the ship? She doesn't care. She'll keep sailing, with or without you. The night deepens and the stars multiply. You hear the distant call of a seabird, a rare sound in the vast emptiness of the ocean. You think about the stories you heard as a child, tales of adventure, of freedom, of the open sea. They never mentioned the endless toil, the constant threat of violence, the bone-deep exhaustion. You wonder if you'll ever see land again, if you'll ever feel solid ground beneath your feet, if you'll ever be free of this floating prison. But for now, all you can do is survive, one day at a time, one task at a time. You take a deep breath, the salty air filling your lungs, and stand up. The mop is still in your hand, the deck still filthy. You start again, because on this ship there's no other choice. The work never stops, and neither can you. Chapter 4. The Captain's Gaze. Night has fallen. The sea has calmed to a gentle roll, but the ship still creaks and groans like it's alive. Somewhere down below, someone's snoring. Another voice is whispering something too low to make out. You sit alone near the railing, watching the stars above shimmer like coins scattered across black silk. You could almost forget for a moment that you're stuck in a floating hell. Then the shouting starts again. Not the usual arguing over cards or stolen food. This is different. It's sharper, sudden, the kind of sound that snaps everyone to attention. "Captain's coming!" You feel the change ripple across the deck. Laughter dies instantly. The dice game halts mid-roll. Even the drunk slumped against a barrel straightens up, wiping his mouth like nothing happened. There's no rule book on this ship, no schedules, no official code. But when someone says the captain's coming, everyone moves. You don't know much about him. Nobody talks about him for long. The crew calls him Reed. Just Reed. No title, no story, but the way they say it, low and careful, tells you everything you need to know. You stand, not knowing if you're supposed to, and follow the others toward the center of the deck. Then he appears, Captain Reed, tall, lean, dressed in a long coat that trails behind him like a shadow. His boots are polished, but his face is rough, scarred, tanned, weather-worn. His eyes are dark, sunken, and sharp, like twin daggers sheathed just behind the surface. He doesn't speak right away, he just walks, and everyone watches their feet. You do too. The silence is tense. You hear the creak of the mast, the distant splash of waves, the faint clinking of a weapon at his side. You expect some grand announcement, a rousing speech, maybe a declaration of your next destination or some treasure to chase. Instead, he stops in front of a man and says 2 words. "You lied." The man freezes. He's older, grizzled, and suddenly pale. "No, Captain, I—" Reed's hand flashes, not with a sword, just a backhand, fast, sharp. The sound cracks through the silence. The man stumbles, blood at the corner of his mouth. "You lied," the captain repeats, quieter this time. "About the cargo, about the cut, about what was owed," the man stammers. "It was just a bit of rum, sir, just 2 bottles. 1 bottle is theft," the captain says. 2 is betrayal. Then he turns away. "Keel haul him. You don't know the term yet." But you soon learn. The crew moves like a machine. They drag the man to the side, tie his arms and ankles with rope, and loop it under the hull of the ship. You realize, horrified, they're going to pull him under the boat from one side to the other. The underside of the ship is covered in barnacles, sharp, jagged and unforgiving. It's like being scraped across a coral reef. Slowly, in the dark, the man screams before he even goes under. You don't look away, you can't. The crew on the opposite side hauls him across. The rope jerks, the body disappears, there's silence. Then bubbling, then silence again. When he emerges, he's not screaming anymore. He's alive, but barely. Torn to shreds, gasping. He doesn't even look human. The captain glances once. Throw him below. If he lives, he works. And just like that, it's over. The crew goes back to their business. The moment passes like a wave, sweeping through, crashing hard and vanishing like nothing happened. But your legs are shaking, because for the first time, it hits you. This man, the captain, owns this ship, not in name, not in paperwork, in fear. He decides who eats, who bleeds, who survives, and worse, he just saw you. You were the only one not looking down, the only one dumb enough to watch the entire thing with your jaw half open. Now his eyes are on you. He studies you for a moment, then just barely, he smiles. Not kindly, just amused. You're the new one, he says, his voice low and smooth, like water over stone. You nod, trying not to speak. If your voice cracks, they'll hear it. If you say the wrong thing, you'll feel it. Name, he asks. You stammer it out. He repeats it, lets it roll around in his mouth like a taste he's not sure he likes. Then he leans in slightly. You don't talk too much, that's good. This ship has too many mouths and not enough ears. He turns away again, walks back toward his cabin, but right before he disappears into the shadows, he says something over his shoulder. Keep your head down, and don't lie to me. The door closes, and the crew exhales. No one speaks for another few seconds, then slowly the usual noise returns, muted, cautious. You retreat to the edge of the deck and sit, trying to calm your racing heart. You just met the man who decides if you get to see tomorrow, and he knows your name now. Later that night, as the crew starts settling into hammocks, the whispers begin. That wasn't about the rum, someone says. He's making an example. No one crosses Reed twice. You lie awake in your hammock, eyes fixed on the wooden beams above. Every creak of the ship makes your heart jump. You can still hear the scraping, still see the barnacles, the blood, the broken body. This isn't a job, it's a sentence. And the captain, he's the warden. You think about jumping ship, you really do. Just sneaking out at dawn, grabbing a barrel or a plank and paddling away. But then you remember the sea. It doesn't forgive either. Sharks, currents, no land for miles. And if you're caught escaping, that rope goes around your ankles. So you stay, you close your eyes. And you pray that tomorrow you're invisible again. The night stretches on, each minute feeling like an hour. You hear the occasional murmur, the rustle of fabric, the distant call of a seabird. Sleep doesn't come easy. When dawn finally breaks, the light filters through the cracks in the wood, casting eerie shadows. You rise, muscles stiff, and join the others on deck. The captain is nowhere to be seen, but his presence lingers like a ghost. The crew moves with a quiet efficiency, each task performed with a sense of urgency. You find yourself scrubbing the deck, the bristles of the brush scraping against the wood. The repetitive motion is almost soothing, a brief escape from the constant tension. But then you hear it, a low, menacing growl. You look up to see a massive dog, its fur matted and eyes wild. It's the captain's pet, and it's staring right at you. Your heart races as the dog approaches, its growl growing louder. You freeze, unsure of what to do. The crew watches, but no one moves to help. Just as the dog is about to reach you, a sharp whistle cuts through the air. The dog stops, ears perked, and turns to see the captain standing at the edge of the deck. "Down, Brutus," he commands, and the dog immediately obeys, slinking back to its master's side. The captain's eyes meet yours, and for a moment you see something almost human in his gaze. But then it's gone, replaced by that cold, calculating stare. "Get back to work," he says, and you do, your hands trembling as you resume scrubbing the deck. The day drags on, each hour blending into the next. You keep your head down, avoiding eye contact, trying to stay invisible. But you can feel the captain's eyes on you, watching, waiting. You know you can't make a single mistake. As the sun sets, the crew gathers for a meal. The food is simple, but it's enough to keep you going. You eat in silence, the tension palpable. After dinner, you return to your hammock, exhaustion weighing heavy on your limbs. You close your eyes, hoping for a few hours of rest. But sleep is elusive. Your mind races, replaying the events of the day, the captain's gaze, the dog's growl. You can't shake the feeling that you're being watched. Eventually you drift off, your dreams filled with dark waters and sharp teeth. You wake with a start, the ship creaking around you. Another day begins, and you know you have to survive it. You take a deep breath, steeling yourself for whatever comes next, because on this ship every day is a battle. And the captain, he's the one holding the reins. You just have to make sure you don't fall off. And so you rise, ready to face another day in this floating hell, praying that you remain invisible. Chapter 5. The Watch from the Crow's Nest. Morning comes fast and without warning. 1 second, you're somewhere between sleep and hallucination, dreaming of solid ground and fresh food. The next, someone's shoving your hammock hard enough to flip it over. You hit the floor. Up, now! It's not the bosun this time, it's someone worse. His name's Briggs, a wiry man with a voice like a saw blade and eyes that never stop moving. He grins, a set of crooked yellow teeth gleaming like the ship's rusted nails. Captain says it's your turn in the crow's nest. You blink, still half asleep. The what? Briggs laughs, grabs your arm and drags you toward the main mast. You'll learn. You don't even have time to grab water. The sun's already rising, glaring off the waves like molten metal. The deck is slick with salt. The mast stretches high above you, taller than it looked from the ground yesterday, and sways just enough to make your stomach turn. You crane your neck up. At the very top is the crow's nest, a tiny wooden platform barely big enough for one person, where someone stands watch for incoming ships, storms, or land. Climb, Briggs says. You hesitate. The rigging creaks in the wind. Your hands are still raw from yesterday. Your thighs ache. You want to protest, to ask why it has to be you. But then you catch the quartermaster watching from across the deck, arms folded. You climb. The rigging is rope mostly, some of it fraying, some of it slick, all of it unforgiving. Every step upward sends a jolt of panic through your body. The ship rocks with the waves and you cling harder, trying not to look down. But you do look down. Big mistake. The crew below looks like ants. The deck is smaller than you remembered. One slip and you're done. There's no harness, no safety net, just the ocean, waiting to claim you. You stop halfway up and cling to the rope, breathing hard. Your heart is racing. Your arms are shaking. You consider climbing back down, telling them you can't do it, that you're sick, weak, not built for this. But then you remember what weakness gets you on this ship. Keel-hauled, whipped, left behind. You keep going, hand over hand, step by step, until finally you haul yourself onto the platform. The crow's nest. You sit down, back against the mast, legs pulled in tight. The whole platform creaks beneath your weight. There's no railing, no protection. Just open sky and endless ocean in every direction. And for a moment, just a moment, it's beautiful. The view from up here is unlike anything you've ever seen. The sea stretches forever, glimmering under the morning sun. Gulls wheel and cry above you. A breeze brushes your face, cleaner than anything you've breathed since boarding the ship. You're alone, truly alone. And that's almost scarier than the climb, because now it's just you. And whatever might be out there, the job seems simple. Look, report. Spot trouble before it spots you, but the more you sit there, the more the simplicity wears thin. For one thing, there's nothing to see. Not in the fun way, just ocean, 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 and sky. You scan the horizon like they told you. North, south, east, west, but it's all the same. Blue on blue on blue. It starts to mess with your head. No landmarks, no trees, no buildings, just water and cloud forever. The only break in the silence is the occasional squawk of a seagull or the distant shout from the deck far below. Time drips by. Your legs start cramping. The sun climbs higher. Your eyes sting from the glare. You shift positions every few minutes, but there's nowhere comfortable to sit on a crow's nest. It's like perching on a barrel lid in a wind tunnel. You start to zone out, and that's when it hits you. This is the test. They want you to lose focus, to nod off, to look away, because if you do and you miss something, another ship, a storm cloud, a fin in the water, you don't just fail, you put everyone at risk. And on a pirate ship, putting others at risk makes you the risk. You force yourself to stay alert. Every shadow on the water becomes suspicious. Every cloud a threat. You scan again and again. Your lips are cracked. Your hands are blistered from gripping the ropes too tight. Your back aches. But you keep going, because up here there's no one to cover for you, just your eyes and the sea. Hours pass. At some point, someone yells from below. You don't catch the words, but a sailor climbs halfway up the rigging and tosses you a water skin. You nearly cry. You drink deeply, even though the water is warm and tastes faintly of copper. Then you hear it. A voice below. One word. Sail! You snap upright. You look, and there it is. Far on the horizon, just a pinprick of white against the blue. A sail, your heart jumps, you scream it out. Sail off the starboard bow! Your voice cracks, but it carries. Suddenly the ship explodes into motion. Pirates running, orders shouted, cannons uncovered. The crew doesn't wait for details. They just move fast, trained, like a wolf pack that spotted blood. You stay in the crow's nest as the ship adjusts course. The sails billow, the deck groans, the wind picks up. You watch the other ship grow larger, slowly, steadily. It's not flying a flag, which means it could be anything. Merchant ship, easy prey. Navy vessel, death sentence. You shout updates every few minutes. Distance, heading, speed. You're soaked in sweat. Your voice is hoarse, but for the first time, you're useful. You're part of something. You hold your post as long as they let you. Until finally, just as your arms begin to seize, Briggs climbs up to relieve you. Come on, Greenie, you didn't fall. That's something. You don't have the strength to reply. You just nod and begin the climb down. It's harder this time. Every muscle protests. Your hands slip once, twice, but you make it. One rung at a time. When your boots hit the deck, you almost collapse. The crew ignores you. They're too busy readying weapons, checking powder, sharpening blades. You sit beside a barrel, panting. You spotted the sail. You did your job. You passed. But the ship isn't a school. There are no gold stars, only the next test, and it's coming fast. Chapter 6. Storm on the horizon. You don't get to rest after the crow's nest. You barely get to breathe. The moment your boots hit the deck, someone hands you a rope, points toward a barrel, and barks, "Secure that before it smashes someone's spine." You jump into action, even though your hands are still shaking. Your body's been running on nerves and salt water for what feels like days, and you're starting to wonder if this ship ever slows down. It doesn't, because now there's a new threat. Not a ship, not a mutiny, but something worse, something bigger, the sky. You hear the murmurs before you see it, veterans muttering to each other, glances toward the clouds. The way the wind has shifted, not stronger, not faster, just different, like it's holding its breath. Then the call comes down from above. "Storm's coming!" No one panics. That's the worst part. They don't scream, they don't run, they just move. Fast. Like they've done this 100 times, like they know the drill, which makes it even scarier. If this is routine, then the storm must be serious. You glance up. The sky is darker now, subtly. The sun still peeks through here and there. But something heavy is building on the horizon, a low purple wall of cloud, rippling and dense, like bruised muscle rolling toward the ship. The temperature drops, and the mood shifts. "Reef the sails!" someone yells. You don't know what that means, but the crew does. They rush to the masts, hauling lines, scaling the rigging, pulling the big canvas sails tight so the wind doesn't rip them to shreds. You're dragged into the chaos, thrown a line and told to make fast the canvas. You nod like you know what that means and copy the guy next to you. You tie what you hope is a secure knot. You pull until your palms blister again. Everything has to be secured. Ropes, barrels, crates, cannons. You watch two men struggling to tie down a cannon as the ship rocks harder. It slides 2 feet across the deck before they slam it back in place. If it breaks free, it could crush someone or tear through the hull. You help lash it down, your whole body shaking. The wind hits you again, colder now, sharp, like it's clawing at your skin, and then the rain starts. Not drizzle, not gentle, but sheets, like someone just dumped the ocean from the sky. The deck becomes a river. Your boots fill with water. Your clothes stick to your body like wet paper. Visibility drops in seconds. You can barely see 10 feet ahead. And still, the storm hasn't really hit yet. This is just the opening act. The captain finally appears, emerging from his quarters like a phantom. Coat whipping in the wind, hat pulled low over his face, boots echoing against the soaked wood. He doesn't yell. He just looks up at the sky and mutters, "Brace!" That's it. And everyone listens. Because when Captain Reed says brace, it means this isn't a squall, this is survival. The ship groans, the wind howls, the first wave crashes over the bow like a beast. You're knocked clean off your feet, salt water floods your nose, your mouth, your ears. You scramble to grab a rope before you're swept across the deck. Someone screams, a man goes overboard, you catch a flash of him, arms flailing, then gone. No one dives after him, there's no time, no chance. 1 second of distraction and the sea will take you too. You grab a post and hold tight. The rain hammers your skull, the cold is beyond cold, it's in your bones. Your joints, your teeth, the storm is alive. It tears at the sails, it slams the hull. It howls like every dead sailor who ever sank with their boots on. And the crew, they fight back, they haul ropes, they scream orders, they run through chaos like it's routine. The bosun shouts at you to grab the tackle line. You don't know where that is, but someone shoves a rope into your hands and you pull, not even knowing why. The ship tilts hard to port. Another wave crashes over. You see a barrel break loose, smashing into the railing. Splinters fly. You duck just in time. Then lightning. It splits the sky, bright, white and close. You hear it crack a second later. It's so loud it rattles your skull. The captain's still on the deck, gripping the wheel, teeth bared. He's not steering, he's fighting. The ship bucks under him like a wild animal. Then the boom. Not thunder, a mast. You hear it before you see it, wood splintering, ropes snapping. The foremast is breaking. A massive beam swings down. A man screams. He's crushed instantly. Another is thrown off balance and vanishes into the sea. The bosun yells again, "Cut the rigging! Let it fall!" You run with 3 others, blades drawn, sawing at the ropes. The sail flaps violently, tearing like paper in a storm. You slash the last rope and jump back as the mast collapses into the ocean with a deafening splash. The ship lurches, water floods the deck. You're soaked, bleeding, coughing, freezing, but still standing barely. You crawl toward a barrel and hold on for dear life. You've never prayed before, not seriously, but now you pray to anything that might be listening. Just make it stop. Just let the storm pass. Just let the sun come back. Eventually, miraculously, the wind starts to ease. The rain slows. The waves become smaller, less angry. You open your eyes and realize it's morning again. You made it through the night. The sky is pale blue now. The sun peeks over the edge of the world like it's checking to see who's still alive. The deck is destroyed. 1 mast gone. Ropes everywhere. Blood stains on the planks. 3 men dead. 1 missing. 2 too injured to move. You sit down hard. Your hands are torn. Your face is cut. Your lips are cracked and salty, but you're breathing. You're alive. And somehow, so is the ship. The crew starts to move again, slowly, methodically, clearing wreckage, tying knots, checking wounds. No one says much. What's there to say? You survived the storm. But you're starting to understand this life isn't just about sword fights and cannonballs. The sea itself wants you dead, and it gets a vote. The ship creaks as it settles, the remnants of the storm still echoing in your ears. You look around at the weary faces of the crew, each one marked by the night's battle. The captain finally speaks, his voice hoarse but steady. "We repair, we rebuild, and we sail on." And with that the crew begins the arduous task of putting the ship back together, piece by piece. You join them, your body aching, but your spirit unbroken. The storm may have passed, but the journey is far from over. And as you work, you realize that surviving the storm was just one part of being a sailor. The real challenge is the endless fight against the sea. The constant struggle to stay afloat in a world that wants to drag you under. But for now, you take a deep breath, savor the morning light, and prepare for whatever comes next. Chapter 7. The Code and the Curse. The storm is gone, but it's not behind you. It lingers in your bones, in your joints, in the bruises you don't remember getting, and the ones that won't fade. The deck is still damp, the crew is still quiet, the sea is calmer, but the air still thick, still tense. You survived. But now comes the part no one tells you about, the aftermath. The ship is limping along. The front mast is gone, the sails are torn, and 3 bodies had to be buried at sea, or rather tossed at sea, wrapped in what little canvas was left and slid overboard without ceremony. There's no time to mourn, no room. You survive or you don't. The ocean doesn't care, and neither does the crew. Not out loud anyway, but something shifted. You feel it. A heaviness. Not just in the air, but in them. The way they speak more carefully, the way they avoid certain corners of the deck, the way they touch the railing like it's alive, like it might hear. And then someone whispers it. "We're cursed." You think it's a joke. You wish it was. It starts when a rat dies. Not unusual, you've seen plenty already, but this one's different. Found hanging by its tail from the rigging. A crude little rope tied into a perfect noose. Some say it was a warning, others say the rat cursed the ship itself. You laugh quietly. That's when Blacktooth, one of the older crew, puts a hand on your shoulder hard. "You laugh too easy, Greenie," he says. "You think curses are stories? You think the sea don't remember what we've done?" You shrug it off, or try to. Until the second thing happens. A barrel of powder explodes without warning. No one was near it. No spark, no flame, just a sudden boom and a black scorch mark on the deck. Could have killed half the crew if they hadn't moved it the night before. No explanation, just smoke and silence. Then a man falls ill fast, violently. 1 hour he's fine, the next he's vomiting black, eyes yellow, breath shallow, no doctor on board, just rum and guesses. He's dead by sundown. And that's when they bring out the code, not just rules, not orders, but the code. Every ship has one, written or not, a set of laws agreed upon by the crew. Pirate democracy, if such a thing exists. On Captain Reed's ship, the code is carved into the inside wall of the mess deck. Crude, angry lettering done by knife, not pen. It says, "Every man shall have an equal vote in affairs of moment. No stealing from crewmates, no fighting aboard ship. No man shall desert his post. If gold be found, it is shared. If lies be told, the liar bleeds. If blood be spilled without cause, the ship will curse ye. Obey the captain or join the sea." You read it once, then again. Rule 7 sticks with you. If blood be spilled without cause, the ship will curse you. You look around. No one will say it out loud, but they're all thinking the same thing. The man who was keel-hauled, the blood that hit the deck, the storm that followed. Cause and effect curse. That night the crew lights a small fire in a makeshift iron pan on the deck. Not for warmth. Not for cooking, for cleansing. They burn old rope, salt, even a tooth pulled from the mouth of a man who died in the storm. They chant, not in unison, not like a ceremony, just murmurs, whispers to gods or ghosts or whatever's listening. You don't know the words, no one teaches you. You just sit nearby and try not to breathe too loud. Briggs throws a handful of bone dust into the flames. "Just in case," he says. The fire hisses. Someone drops a bit of their blood into the pan, a shallow cut to the palm, one by one. "Offer it back," Blacktooth mutters, "to the ship." When they're done, the fire goes out and everyone walks away without another word. Like it never happened, but the air still feels wrong. You try to sleep, you can't, because now the code isn't just carved into wood, it's carved into you. You start watching people more closely, who eats first, who cuts corners, who hoards rations, who steps over bodies and who pauses to glance back. The balance on the ship is delicate, fragile, and now everyone's on edge. You ask Grease, the cook, if this sort of thing happens often. He snorts. "This ship ain't cursed, boy, it's remembering." You frown. "Remembering what?" He leans in. "Every coin we take, every life we end, every lie we tell, we feed the ship, feed her with sin. She sails fine when she's full, but let her go too long without a feast, and she eats us." You laugh again, nervously. He doesn't, not even a smile. You spend the next day on edge, working, scrubbing, hauling, but every creak of wood makes you flinch. Every sudden shadow feels personal. Even the ship feels different beneath your feet. Heavier, slower, as if it's watching, listening, waiting. Then late that afternoon the quartermaster calls a meeting. A rare thing. The crew gathers in the center of the deck. Captain Reed stands at the helm, arms folded, silent as usual. The quartermaster speaks. "We're off course. Took too much damage in the storm. No charted land nearby. No known ships on this heading." He pauses. "But there's a place we can try." Silence, then murmurs. A name, whispers only. Deadlight K. Even you can tell. That name is bad news. Reed doesn't explain. He doesn't have to. He just says, "We sail at dawn." The meeting breaks, but the tension doesn't. You grab Briggs on the way back below deck. "What's Deadlight K?" He looks at you like he's not sure you deserve an answer. Then quietly he says, "Cursed Island. Said to be where pirate ships go to die, or to hide." You swallow hard. "Why would we go there?" Briggs shrugs. "Because sometimes curses speak louder than orders. That night the wind dies, the sails sag, the stars vanish, and the sea turns flat and black like glass. No waves, no sound, not even the gulls cry. It's too still, like the ocean is holding its breath, and you know, deep down, you're not just heading for land, you're heading for something worse. Something old, something hungry. And you don't know what's waiting on Deadlight K. But it feels like it already knows you're coming." Chapter 8. Voices of Mutiny. Mutiny. It's one of the ugliest words you can hear on a ship, and one of the most dangerous, not just because it means someone's plotting to overthrow the captain, but because it signals that the crew has begun to unravel. A pirate ship, despite its chaos, depends entirely on a thin, often violent thread of trust and necessity. If that thread snaps, the whole thing falls apart fast. And you're right in the middle of it. The first sign is the silence. Not the good kind, not the rare, peaceful pause at sea. This silence is tense, loaded. Crew members stop talking around you. They nod instead, or speak in glances. They peel off into smaller clusters, 2 or 3 at a time, whispering under their breath when the captain's not around. They check weapons more often, count powder, keep knives on their belts, even below deck. You overhear things, a phrase muttered low. Better off without him. Another. Split the gold now before it's too late. No names, no accusations, just seeds, and you start to realize those seeds are growing fast. Historically, pirate ships were surprisingly democratic in some ways. Crews often voted on big decisions, where to sail, whether to attack, who got what share of the loot. Captains could be replaced if they failed to lead. In theory, mutiny wasn't even always considered betrayal. It was a built-in mechanism for self-preservation. If the captain risked the whole crew's lives for personal gain or let the ship fall apart, mutiny was how they course-corrected. But on this ship with Captain Reed, no one talks about mutiny like it's a right. They talk about it like it's treason, and they know exactly what it costs. You remember the man who got keel-hauled? The way Reed didn't even flinch, the blood, the barnacles, the screams. That's what happens when someone crosses him. So why are they doing it now? Because something's changed. The storm, the losses, the broken mast, the trip toward Deadlight Cay. Maybe it's desperation. Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's the way the ship groans more than usual, like it's sick of being afloat. Either way, the crew is cracking, and you're stuck in the middle. You're too new to be trusted, too visible to be ignored. So you keep your head down, ears open, eyes sharper than ever. That's how you find yourself listening in on a conversation you weren't supposed to hear. 2 men below deck, one sharpening a knife, the other watching the stairs. He won't share the next take, the knife man says. You know he won't. Doesn't matter, we take it first. And if the others don't back us, they will. No one wants to die on that island. They fall silent when you step too close. You walk away like you didn't hear. But your heart is pounding. There are real plans being made, and they're getting bolder. In history, most mutinies failed. Either the leaders were caught and killed, or the crew fractured and the ship fell into chaos. But the few that succeeded, they were fast, brutal, strategic, a knife in the dark, a pistol behind the wheel. 1 second, the captain was in charge. The next, he was floating face down in the water. But here's the catch. Mutiny isn't just a rebellion. It's a gamble. If the crew isn't unified, it backfires. If someone warns the captain, there's blood. If no one acts, the fear just festers, and you can feel that festering now, thick in the air, coiled around the sails, slipping into every whispered conversation. You catch Briggs eyeing the quartermaster with suspicion. You see Blacktooth clean his pistol twice in one night. Even Grease, the cook, stops humming, stops talking. He just stirs his stew in silence, a knife always within arm's reach. Then the captain changes his tone. He starts pacing the deck more often, stops giving orders aloud, watches the crew like he's counting them, measuring who stands together and who stands apart. And then one morning he calls a vote. That's unusual. He gathers the whole crew on deck and says only this. Deadlight Cay is a day away. We can press on, or we can turn north and hope for luck. No explanation, no speech, just a choice. It feels like bait. No one speaks first. The crew shifts uneasily, glancing at each other. Eventually a voice from the back says, North! Then another, Deadlight! The votes come slow, cautious. Everyone's weighing not just the course, but the company. When it's over, the result is almost even, but the margin tips toward Deadlight. The captain nods. Then we go. He walks away, and just like that, the fuse shortens. The next 12 hours are a pressure cooker. You start to see weapons carried openly, not unusual, but not subtle either. The crew doesn't speak unless necessary. Some sleep with blades in their boots. The whispers now are sharp, urgent, and then it happens. Late that night, a single scream, followed by 2 quick pistol shots. You're already halfway out of your hammock when the alarm is sounded. Torches flare to life. Men grab swords, pistols, clubs. The quartermaster is bleeding badly, but alive. One of the mutineers is dead. The other, missing. The ship descends into chaos. Everyone is yelling, accusing, defending. Captain Reed walks through the storm of voices like it's smoke, calm, silent. He steps over the bleeding body, looks down, then looks up. I see you've made your choice. And just like that, it's over. 3 more are arrested on the spot. Another is found hiding near the powder room and dragged out kicking. There's no trial, just silence, and then the sound of rope tightening. By sunrise, 5 men hang from the rigging, their shadows swinging above the deck. No speeches, no last words, just the lesson, hung in plain sight. Mutiny is a story every pirate knows, and on this ship, it's a story with one ending. The crew, now silent, goes about their duties with a new tension. The air is thick with unspoken words, and every glance carries a weight of caution. You find yourself constantly looking over your shoulder, wondering who might be next to challenge the captain's rule. The ship sails on, but the sense of unease never leaves. Every creak of the wood, every flap of the sail feels like a reminder of the thin line between order and chaos. And you're still in the middle of it all, trying to survive another day. Chapter 9. Fire on the Open Sea. The bodies are still hanging when the lookout yells, "Sail! Off the port side!" The deck, already raw with tension, instantly jolts into motion. Hammocks empty. Weapons are grabbed. Footsteps thunder across the planks. The whispers of mutiny vanish like mist, as if fear had been replaced by instinct. You rush to the railing. There it is, a ship on the horizon, smaller than yours, slower, but close enough to matter. No flag, which tells you everything. It's either a merchant ship, or bait. Captain Reed appears within seconds, calm, focused. His coat soaked with sea spray, one hand on his pistol, the other gripping the railing. "Ready the guns," he says. "Let's see what they're worth." The next hour is chaos, organized but barely. Cannons are uncovered and loaded with shot and powder. Buckets of water are hauled from below. Barrels of pitch are cracked open. You're handed a job. Runner. That means you move powder and shot from below deck to the gunners, fast and without hesitation. It also means if something explodes, you're the first to die. The crew moves like clockwork. You've never seen them so in sync. Even Grease puts down his ladle and straps on a blade. No one's joking. No one's laughing. It's all hands, all business. You peek toward the approaching ship. It's closer now. A 2-mast sloop. Sleek, fast when the wind is right. It hasn't raised any colours. "Could be Navy," someone mutters. "Or smugglers." You ask the wrong question. What if they're friendly? Someone spits. "Ain't no friendly on this sea." The captain raises his hand. The ship turns slowly, catching the wind. You feel the hull shift beneath your feet as the sails snap full. You're closing the distance now, fast. And then you hear it. Boom, a cannon. Distant but clear. You look up. Smoke curls from the side of the sloop. The ball falls short, splashing into the water halfway between you and them. A warning shot. They're daring you to back off. Captain Reed doesn't flinch. "Return fire!" The noise is indescribable. You always thought cannon fire would sound like thunder. It doesn't. It sounds like the world splitting open. The first blast knocks you back a step. The whole deck shudders as the gun crew fires in sequence. 4 cannons from the starboard side, each one belching fire, smoke and steel. The air fills with soot and screams. You run shot back and forth, hauling heavy cannonballs from the hold, stumbling up the stairs, nearly crushed when one rolls loose. The powder stings your eyes, your throat burns, your ears ring. You catch glimpses of the sloop between shots, its hull splintering under the barrage, but it's fighting back. A cannonball whizzes over your head and punches into the mainmast behind you. Wood explodes. A man screams. Blood sprays. You keep running. There's no room for panic, no time for fear, just noise, smoke and survival. Another blast. Another scream. Then someone yells, "Boarding rope!" You spin to see that you're close now. Too close. The 2 ships are within spitting distance. Pirates toss grappling hooks. Ropes are thrown, anchored, pulled tight. The ships are now locked together. Boarding is next. Steel and blood. You're handed a cutlass. You don't remember asking for one. You don't even know how to use it. But you hold it anyway, your hands trembling. Then, without warning, the order comes. "Go!" The crew surges forward like a flood, screaming, swinging, charging across the ropes and rails with wild eyes and blades drawn. You don't run, you're shoved. You land on the enemy deck, boots slipping on blood and sea spray. You look up and there they are, the other crew, not soldiers, not navy, but smugglers, probably. Armed and desperate. The first clash is brutal. A man swings a blade at you and misses. You swing back, clumsy, wild, and manage to knock him down with the flat of your cutlass. Someone else grabs your shoulder. You twist free. You duck a pistol shot. You barely think. It's all reaction. The noise is deafening. Gunfire, screams, steel hitting steel, wood cracking beneath boots. You see Captain Reed cut a man clean across the chest. Briggs takes out 2 with his boarding axe. Even Grease is on deck, smashing skulls with a frying pan like it's war and breakfast rolled into one. You kill someone. You don't mean to. You shove your blade forward in a panic and it sinks into a man's side. His eyes widen. He gasps. Then he falls. You freeze. Then someone tackles you from behind and you're fighting again. It lasts forever. And also just a minute. Then suddenly it's over. The enemy ship is silent. The crew either dead or surrendered. Blood soaks the deck. Bodies lie still. Some missing limbs, some missing faces. You're alive. You don't know how. You drop your sword. It clatters on the wood, sticky with something you don't want to name. The smell hits you next. Blood, powder, sweat and burning tar. You lean against the rail and vomit. No one says anything. They've all done it before. Looting begins, fast and efficient. This wasn't about glory, it was about gain. Crates are pried open, barrels are rolled across planks back to your ship. Weapons, bottles, cloth, sugar, coin, anything of value. You help, because not helping makes you look weak, but your hands shake the entire time. You've never been this tired, never been this dirty, never felt this wrong. Then Captain Reed calls everyone back. The ship is stripped bare, and then he gives the order. Sink her! You blink. You thought they'd take the ship, use it, sell it. But Reed shakes his head. Too slow, too wounded, too risky. The powder room is lit. The fire crawls deep into the hull. You're already rowing back when the enemy ship explodes behind you, wood flame and smoke rising high into the sky. It's beautiful and horrifying. You stare at it for too long. Someone nudges you. First time? You nod. He shrugs. Won't be the last. You don't know if that's a threat or a promise. Back on board, the crew cheers. They drink, they laugh, they throw dice again. You think nothing had happened, but you know better. You can feel the weight in your bones. You fought, you killed, you survived. And the sea just took more blood, and more will come, because fire on the open sea is never the end. It's just how the next chapter begins. The sea is a cruel mistress, and today she claimed her due. You look at the horizon knowing that this is just the beginning of a long, bloody journey. The crew's laughter fades into the background as you contemplate the cost of survival. The weight of your actions settles in, a heavy burden you'll carry with each wave. The sea whispers promises of more battles, more blood and more fire, and you know, deep down, that you will be there to face it all, because once you've tasted the fire on the open sea, there's no turning back. The horizon beckons, and with it, the promise of another day, another fight. You take a deep breath, steadying yourself for what's to come. The sea is relentless, and so must you be. For in the heart of every sailor there lies a warrior ready to face the storm. And as the sun sets, you know that tomorrow will bring new challenges, new enemies and new fires to fight. But for now you rest, knowing that you've survived another day on the open sea. And with that, the chapter closes, but the story is far from over. Chapter 10. Blood, Smoke, and Salt Water. The fire is gone now. The enemy ship is nothing but smouldering splinters, bobbing in the waves like the sea is chewing on the remains. There's no more cheering, no more whooping or songs, just the creak of the ropes, the soft slap of the ocean against the hull, and the thick silence that follows a blood-soaked victory. You should feel proud. You survived a battle. You earned your share of the loot. You fought, killed, and came back alive. But all you feel is empty. Your hands are still sticky with someone else's blood. You've washed them 3 times already, but the feeling won't leave. The smell is in your nose. Salt, smoke, sweat, copper. You close your eyes and still see flashes of it, the blade going in, the eyes going wide, the sound a man makes when he realizes he's not going home. No one talks about that part. No one warned you. You're not just seasick anymore, you're soul-sick. Like something's been hollowed out inside you, and all that's left is this dull ringing in your ears, and the steady thump of your own heartbeat. The crew doesn't seem fazed. Some are already gambling again, others are dividing up the loot. A few sit sharpening their blades like they're itching for the next fight. You watch one man humming to himself as he braids a bit of rope, the same hands that slit a throat less than an hour ago. Maybe you'll get there too, maybe you won't. Grease gives you a drink, something strong, probably rum, maybe something worse. You take it without asking because saying no makes you a target. You sit beside him in silence while he picks a tooth with a fishbone. That was your first one, he says flatly. You nod. He nods too. You did fine. You didn't die. You almost laugh. That's the bar? Not dying? He drinks. The first time's the worst, not because it's harder, but because it's new. Once you've done it a few times, the smell fades. Your nerves stop screaming. Eventually, it just becomes another thing you do. You don't want it to be just another thing. You're not even sure who you are anymore. The scared landlubber in the hammock, the rookie in the crow's nest, the runner during the cannon fire, or the one who held the blade that didn't miss? You return to your corner near the railing and sit with your back to the mast. The deck is calmer now, damp with blood in places, but already being scrubbed. Pirates hate a dirty ship, at least when the dirt isn't their own. You look up at the sky. It's blue, almost soft. The clouds are thin and scattered. A breeze moves through your shirt. If you didn't know better, you'd think this was peace. But it's not. It's the pause. Because you know what's next. Deadlight. K. The cursed island, the place everyone's been quietly dreading, even before the mutiny, even before the storm. You asked Blacktooth earlier if the captain really meant to go through with it. He just smiled and said, "Reed never turns." And now the island is close. You can't see it yet, but you feel it, like the horizon's hiding something. Like the ship itself knows where it's going, and it's not happy about it. The birds are gone. The waves feel thicker, slower. You overhear someone say the name again. Not loudly, Deadlight. You don't know what's there. Treasure, maybe. Shelter, secrets. But whatever it is, the crew would rather face another Navy frigate than drop anchor there. But no one disobeys the captain. Not twice. Captain Reed hasn't said much since the battle. He's at the helm more than usual. Hands behind his back, staring into the distance like he's already looking at the island no one else can see. You try not to make eye contact. Not out of fear, out of instinct. Because when Reed looks at you, it's like he already knows what you're thinking. And right now, you don't even know what you're thinking. Are you part of this crew now? Have you been accepted, or are you still just surviving? You've killed. You've worked. You've fought a storm and a mutiny. You've seen men die badly and die quietly and die forgotten. You've smelled burning flesh and watched the ocean eat a ship like it was hungry. But you don't feel like a pirate. You just feel tired. And that's when the nightmares start. The first night after the battle, you dream you're still on the other ship, that it never sank, that the fire never caught. You're stuck in the hallway, blade in hand, body after body piled in front of you. Every face is someone you've seen on your own crew. Briggs, Blacktooth, even Grease. You wake up drenched in sweat. The hammock sways beneath you like it's mocking you. There's no comfort here, no home, no safety, just salt in your eyes and salt in your blood. The ship sails quietly for the next day and a half. No storms, no sightings, just silence, and the looming feeling of arrival. The wounded are healing or pretending to. The captain gives no speeches. The quartermaster keeps to himself. The boatswain's whip appears more often, snapping near boots, keeping people sharp. Discipline matters now more than ever. One wrong step, and this whole ship could crack open. You overhear someone saying Deadlight K isn't even on most maps, that it drifts, that it hides, that it's not an island so much as a place the ocean forgot how to bury. You ask what they're hoping to find there. They just laugh. No one hopes anything out there, and then, just before sunset, someone shouts, "Land!" You rush to the edge of the ship and squint into the distance. At first it looks like fog, thick and low, but then the shape comes into focus. Jagged rock, towering cliffs, trees like twisted fingers, no smoke, no birds, no colour, just grey and green and shadows. Deadlight K, your heart sinks, not from fear, not even from dread, but from certainty. You're not just going to the island, you're going into it, and it's already waiting. The ship slows as it approaches the shore, the crew moving with a mix of caution and resignation. You can feel the tension in the air, a collective breath held tight. The anchor drops with a heavy splash, and the sound echoes like a final toll. You step onto the deck, feeling the weight of the island's presence pressing down on you. The captain finally speaks, his voice low and steady. "Prepare to disembark. We move at dawn." You nod, but your mind is elsewhere, lost in the shadows of Deadlight K. The night is restless, filled with the murmurs of the crew and the distant haunting calls of unseen creatures. You lie in your hammock, staring at the stars, wondering what awaits you on that cursed island. Sleep comes in fits and starts. Your dreams a tangled mess of fear and anticipation. As the first light of dawn breaks, you rise, ready to face whatever lies ahead. The crew gathers, weapons at the ready, eyes hard with determination. You take a deep breath, steeling yourself for the unknown. Deadlight K looms before you, a dark promise of danger and discovery, and with that, you step into the boat, the journey to the island beginning with a single, fateful stroke. Chapter 11. Justice the Pirate Way. You're only about 20 hours into your pirate life, and your body already feels like it's aged 10 years. Your back is wrecked. Your hands are raw. You've fought storms, survived cannon fire, Witnessed mutiny, killed a man, and now you're sailing toward an island no sane sailor even speaks of. But before Deadlight K can swallow the ship whole, there's one last thing that needs to be done. Pirate justice. It doesn't matter how much blood has already been spilled. Not to these men, not to Captain Reed. On a pirate ship, nothing matters more than fear and order. And that means retribution, because the mutiny, though crushed, isn't forgotten. The bodies still hanging in the rigging are a warning, but apparently they're not enough. The quartermaster wants more. The boatswain, as always, wants pain. And the captain, he wants silence, the kind that comes after screams. It starts with the names. 3 more crew members, accused of knowing about the mutiny but saying nothing. No one asks if it's true. No one investigates. This isn't a court. This is a floating dictatorship armed with cutlasses and cannonballs. The accused are dragged to the center of the deck at sunrise, bound at the wrists, forced to their knees. One tries to argue. He claims innocence, swears on whatever God will listen that he had nothing to do with it. Captain Reed listens, then orders his tongue cut out. The boatswain does it without hesitation. The man doesn't scream. He chokes. The others don't speak a word. That's pirate justice. You're forced to watch. All of you are. It's not about punishment, it's about performance. Everyone on board needs to see what happens when you cross the line, when you fail to pick a side, when you forget whose ship this is. There's no judge, no trial, no proof required, just an audience, a blade and a body. The next punishment is more creative. The second man is tied to the mast, not for whipping, for questions. Captain Reed steps up and begins to speak, not yelling, not shouting, just quiet and clear, like someone dictating a letter. "Where is it?" That's all he asks. The man doesn't answer, doesn't know what he's talking about. The captain steps forward, cuts off the man's right ear. "Where is it?" Still nothing, then his finger, then another, then his eye. There's no fight, no resistance, just the slow, methodical unraveling of a man who might have known something, or might have just looked at the captain wrong during dinner, and again you're watching. Because no one is allowed to turn away. Because this is how the captain wins loyalty, not through charisma or money, but by making the alternative so terrifying you'd rather die with him than ever stand against him. The third man never gets questioned. He jumps overboard before they can tie him up. He's gone in seconds. No splash, no struggle. Just gone. And you feel something strange as you watch the ripples fade. Envy. Because maybe that's the only way out that makes sense anymore. Later, Blacktooth sits beside you near the steps to the hold, chewing on a bit of dried meat you haven't eaten. You're not sure you could keep anything down. "You look sick," he says. You don't answer. "You're wondering how this all makes sense, how we live like this, why we follow a man like Reed?" You nod. He spits. "It's simple. No one survives at sea unless they're willing to kill first. The ocean's not fair. The Navy's not fair. And if you think the law's going to protect you when your stomach's empty and your ship's sinking, you deserve to drown." You ask what happens if Reed dies. Who leads then? Blacktooth shrugs. Then someone else takes the wheel and does the same things, maybe worse. Then he says something that sticks in your skull like a nail. You think justice means fair. It doesn't. Not out here. Justice means balance. A man dies because another man lived. That's the cost. You don't know if he's right. But you know you'll never forget what you've seen. That evening the crew gathers again, not for punishment this time, but for division. Loot from the sloop is laid out. Crates of sugar, weapons, silver coins, and a few trinkets of questionable value. Shares are given out according to rank. Captain takes the lion's cut. Quartermaster, boatswain, and gunner follow. The rest of the crew gets what's left, divided into pouches. Some protest. One man says his share is light. He's punched in the mouth and told to be grateful. No one cares that he's missing teeth now. He's still breathing. And breathing is enough. You get your pouch. It's not much, maybe a few silver pieces, a small compass, and a necklace that smells faintly of perfume. Your hands shake when you take it, because you don't feel like you earned this. You feel like you survived it. And there's a big difference. As the ship drifts toward Deadlight K, you catch sight of the island again, closer now, clearer. It's worse than before. Tall cliffs loom like teeth, jagged and black. The beach is narrow, full of broken coral and sun-bleached bones. You spot a shipwreck near the reef, its ribs poking through the waves like a skeleton caught mid-crawl. No birds, no smoke, no movement. The crew goes quiet. Even the drunk ones stop singing. Deadlight doesn't need an introduction. Everyone knows why they're here, and no one's saying it out loud. You ask Briggs, finally, what's on the island. He glances toward the bow. Reed's past, he mutters. Or his future. Or maybe both. You press further. He just says, some debts don't stay buried. The ship drops anchor just off the shore. Small boats are lowered. Reed calls for 10 men. You're one of them. No vote, no discussion. You're going ashore. As you climb into the boat, your legs still aching from everything you've endured, one thing hits you harder than ever before. You're not supposed to be here. This life, this endless loop of blood, silence, salt and shadow, isn't something you can just dip your toe into. You're either swallowed by it completely or you're thrown overboard. You thought you could handle it, but now you've seen the justice they serve. You've watched how quickly a man becomes disposable. You've learned that surviving 24 hours as a pirate doesn't make you a pirate, it just makes you next. And as the oars dip into the water and Deadlight Cay looms closer, the real truth sinks in. You haven't made it through this day, not yet. And tomorrow? You're not even sure there is a tomorrow. The island looms larger, its dark cliffs casting long shadows over the water. The air grows colder and the crew's silence deepens. You grip the edge of the boat, feeling the weight of the day pressing down on you. As you step onto the shore, the sand crunches beneath your boots. The island feels like a graveyard, each step echoing the finality of your choices. You look back at the ship, a distant silhouette against the horizon, and realize there's no turning back. Reed leads the way, his eyes fixed on a path only he can see. The crew follows, each man lost in his own thoughts. You wonder what awaits you on this forsaken island, and if you'll ever see the ship again. The journey inland is slow, the terrain rough and unforgiving. You stumble over rocks and roots, your body protesting every step, but you push on, driven by a mix of fear and determination. As the sun sets, casting an eerie glow over the landscape, you reach a clearing. Reed stops, his gaze fixed on something in the distance. You follow his line of sight and see it, a crumbling structure, half buried in the earth. This is it, Reed says, his voice barely above a whisper. This is where it all began. You feel a chill run down your spine. The air is thick with tension, and you can sense the weight of history pressing down on you. Whatever secrets this island holds, you're about to uncover them. And as you take a deep breath, steeling yourself for what's to come, you realize that surviving this day was just the beginning. The real test lies ahead in the shadows of Deadlight Cay. Chapter 12. A Choice at Midnight. The rowboat hits the shore just after sunset. You're one of 10, handpicked by Captain Reed himself, wading through black, ankle-deep water as Deadlight Cay rises before you like a graveyard carved from volcanic rock. No torches, no campfire, just cold moonlight, twisted trees, and the sound of waves crashing behind you like a door slamming shut. This is where you realize you're not just here to scout. You're not just here to help dig or guard the crew while they load treasure. You're here because Reed wants something from this island, and something on this island wants something back. The sand is coarse, littered with shattered bones, some animal, some not. A broken bottle glints in the moonlight beside a rusted blade half buried in the earth. The jungle ahead looks like it hasn't been touched in 100 years. Keep close, Reed says. It's the first thing he's spoken since the anchor dropped. You don't ask where you're going. No one does. Because when Captain Reed walks into the dark, you follow, or you disappear. You spend the next few hours trudging through dense underbrush, the air so thick with humidity you can't tell where the sweat ends and the fear begins. Vines claw at your face, branches break underfoot. The trees are tall and warped, their trunks bent like they're trying to crawl away from something. You don't talk. No one talks. Even Briggs, who normally can't shut up, walks in silence. Eventually the trail opens up into a clearing, and that's when you see it. A stone altar, covered in moss, surrounded by crumbling pillars and half-buried chests. Deadlight's heart, whatever this place used to be, temple, tomb, treasure vault, it's something older than Reed. Older than the crew. Maybe older than pirates themselves. Reed approaches the altar like he's been here before. He probably has. You watch him kneel and press a weathered coin into a groove on the stone. Then he says 5 words. I offer what I owe. No one breathes. The ground doesn't shake. No trapdoor opens. But something changes. The air gets colder. The jungle goes silent, and every part of your body knows you shouldn't be here. The crew starts opening the chests. Old crates filled with coins, idols, and gold covered in strange symbols. None of it looks right. It's too polished, too warm, too untouched. You feel something behind your eyes, like a headache starting deep in your skull. Then you see it, a shadow moving just beyond the trees. You blink, gone, but your gut is screaming. You're not alone. One of the men, a young pirate named Hatch, grabs a gold idol from the crate. It's shaped like a bird with a human face. He laughs and raises it into the air. Reed spins. "Put it down." Hatch hesitates. He doesn't get a second chance. Reed draws his pistol and fires one shot, right between the eyes. Hatch drops like a sack of rope, the idol slipping from his hand and landing in the dirt beside him. Reed holsters the pistol and turns back to the altar. "Take only what's marked." The crew gets back to work, wordlessly, mechanically. Blood is nothing here. It means nothing, and neither does Hatch. His body is already being covered by sand, washed over by shadows. You stand frozen, staring at the place where he died. Briggs grabs your shoulder. "Move! You move because you've made it this far, and stopping now might be the thing that kills you. By the time you return to the ship, it's past midnight. You're soaked in sweat and something worse. Your shirt is ripped, your boots are full of sand, your body hurts in places you didn't know existed, and your mind is somewhere else entirely. Back there in that jungle clearing, with that altar, with that idol, with Hatch's body still cooling under the moonlight. You don't know what you just helped retrieve. Treasure? A curse? A debt? But you know one thing for sure, you're not supposed to touch things like that and walk away whole. The rowboats hit the ship, and the crew hauls the crates aboard without celebration. No cheers, no shanties, not even a whistle, just silence. Reed says nothing, not even when he locks the cargo hold himself. You return to your hammock and sit for a long time staring at your hands. They're shaking again. That was your 24th hour, the final one. You've lasted a full day as a pirate, but there's no joy, no finish line, no pat on the back, just a question. Now what? Because here's the thing no one tells you. The test isn't surviving 24 hours on a pirate ship. The test is what comes after. After you've spilled blood, after you've buried guilt, after you've learned to cheer when someone else drowns just so you have more water to drink. Can you live with that? Can you become that? You thought the worst part would be the violence, the fear, the storms. But the worst part is the way it all starts to feel normal. You haven't just changed, you've been rewritten, and now you have a choice. You sneak up to the deck just before dawn. The sea is quiet, the ship is quiet, everyone's asleep or pretending to be. You walk to the stern where a single rowboat is tied off. You untie it, lower it into the water. You glance up at the sails, torn and patched, at the rigging still swaying with the weight of Hatch's ghost, at the mast where a dark shape might still be watching. Then you look down at the ocean and breathe. You're not running. You're escaping, not just the ship, but the version of yourself that this life wants to turn you into. You climb into the rowboat. The wood creaks under your weight. Your heart is pounding. The moon is fading behind you. And just as you grip the oars ready to disappear into the black, someone speaks. "You won't last a day out there." You turn. Captain Reed is standing on the deck above, staring down at you. His voice isn't angry. It's calm, like he's already seen this moment 100 times before. You don't answer. There's nothing left to say, just the truth. You've already lasted a day here, but you wouldn't survive a second one. You row, you don't look back, not once. And for the first time in 24 hours, the wind feels clean. And there you have it. If you made it this far, congratulations. You survived 24 brutal, bloody, and unrelenting hours on a pirate ship, but let's be honest. Would you really want to do it again? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments how long you think you'd last out there. Until next time, sleep tight, and maybe keep one eye open, because the sea never truly sleeps, and neither should you.